Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live pop-up chat. Here I am from Shropshire in my living room, and I didn't want to leave this particular video for much longer. We are in 2019 and of course I think everybody wants to be looking forward to what we're going to see in 2019 from the royal family, which I will touch on at the end of this video. But we can still be a little bit reflective and we can still look back on an amazing 2018. 2018 was just full, absolutely full of royal highlights, and I have picked out some of my most memorable favourite moments, or moments that I think have been really key or important. I'm not going to go through it month by month. It is a little bit disjointed, so bear with me, but it does have a kind of narrative. So I'm going to go and find the chat room. What I would like you to do whilst I'm talking at you is to kind of let me know some of your favourite moments of the royal year, and then I will go back and hopefully I'll be able to read some of your comments. Right, I found the chat room, so I can see some people in here already. By the way, I do hope you're all having a fabulous start to 2019 and a really good January. Hello to everybody who is in the room. I can see some comments already. I've got it covered. I've got the really key events covered, don't worry. But yes, some of these are my particular favourite and some are just major highlights. So, I am actually going to start in February 2018. And this was Meghan's first official engagement. And this was the engagement where the royal trio became the Fab Four, this kind of unofficial nickname which the media and fans have given them. It was, of course, the event that kind of welcomed Meghan into the royal foundation. So, let's go back, fast forward a little bit to all the rumours about the feud and that Prince William didn't accept Meghan in or roll out the red carpet. Here is the proof. In February, he was instrumental in inviting a yet unmarried Meghan into the royal foundation, taking it from the royal trio to the Fab Four. So if that isn't an example of rolling out the red carpet, I do not know what is. So during that royal foundation kind of relaunch, really, all of the royals got to speak, but Meghan in particular spoke about female empowerment, and she mentioned the Me Too and the Time's Up movement, and that kind of gave a little bit of an indication, I think, very early on, about which direction Meghan was thinking of going in for her own solo projects. And we'll get to her first solo project a little bit later, because that was, of course, one of my favourite royal moments. So I thought that was quite key back in February, the welcoming of Meghan into the royal foundation. I've also got down Meghan's kind of pre-wedding mini tour of the UK, which of course included Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland and England too. So basically it was when Meghan was going around doing all these different engagements with Harry. Harry was introducing Meghan to the UK, the UK was being introduced to Meghan. It's when we saw those fantastic scenes and videos of fans lining the streets, and Meghan was going over to them and giving them hugs. So there was lots going on back during that kind of pre-wedding mini tour, which I thought was a pretty good and balanced thing to do to kind of introduce Meghan to the UK fast track, because of course everything has been a little bit fast tracked. I will get to other royals, don't worry, it isn't just Harry and Meghan. But in May, of course, we had the royal wedding itself, held at St George's Chapel, Windsor. She was wearing a Givenchy dress, and of course she had two dresses, the main wedding dress and the evening gown. They were designed by Claire Waite-Keller for Givenchy. And the veil, of course, included all the flowers of the Commonwealth, which I thought was a really lovely touch. We also saw guests including Idris Elba and Oprah Winfrey, no less. Lots of different celebrity guests. We also had, and this isn't one of my favourite times, but nevertheless, I thought it was key to mention because it kind of spawned, I think it was the beginning of all the nonsense which we've seen since. But we had what I christened the Markle debacle, where Thomas Markle did those fake photographs, and the rest is history. I'm not going to go into it, but I thought it was key to mention because it did lead into what has been quite a horrific media-fueled assault on Meghan in later months. So I thought I'd mention it there. But we did see Prince Charles stepping up, leading Meghan for the second part of the Isle Walk, and kind of presenting her to Harry. We saw Charles being very chivalrous to Doria and leading her into the part when they were going to sign the register. So again, the royal family extending that red carpet, welcoming in Meghan, welcoming in Doria. So we got to see some lovely moments from the wedding, and who can forget the crowds outside and the carriage procession. It was gorgeous. And of course the evening wedding reception at Frogmore. Frogmore key because obviously that's where they're going to move. Frogmore Cottage, not the house. I'll speak about that later. So it was all... Oh! In the wedding as well, how can we forget the gospel choir, the kingdom choir? Again, kind of breaking with normal royal convention. Nothing to say you can't do that though. They certainly weren't breaking any protocol rules by having a gospel choir, but it was really touching and lovely. They sang Stand By Me. We also had Bishop Michael Curry, who did his preaching. He did a big speech, preach. I'm not quite sure what we'll call it. But yes, and just the looks on the royal family's faces, my goodness. That was something to behold, and it made the day a very special day. We in the UK, we're not used to that. So it was very, very different, but I think it was welcome. It was the blending together of two different cultures, the British culture, the American culture. It worked, and I think it was good to see that diversity and that difference brought into the royal family. It was really, really good. And of course, we saw a lot more interest in the royal family from different ethnic groups since Meghan was on the scene and since Meghan married into the royal family, which I think has been amazing. I've seen that on my channel. I have seen so many different people commenting and leaving comments and sending me messages. It's really, really good, and that, I think, primarily is down to Meghan. Like I've said previously, I hope that people are coming here for Meghan and also finding other royals that they are interested in, because, you know, that's part of what I do, is to show you everybody. I'm not just a Harry and Meghan channel. There are plenty out there for that tell you all the Harry and Meghan fake news. If you want that, there are plenty of them. I don't do that. I bring you as much of the truth as I possibly can. I help you through all the speculation and the fake news. We try and sort it out in our heads together. I tell you what we do know officially, and I also bring you the engagements and news of all of the members of the royal family, not just Harry and Meghan. Another one of my favourite moments, one of my favourites, but probably not some of other people's favourites, but we'll talk about it anyway, was the kind of strange visit from President Trump. And I say strange because there was talk a while ago about it being an official state visit. Then it was changed to a kind of working visit and tea with the Queen. So we had this kind of strange blend of what I think possibly should have been an official state visit that was kind of played out as tea with the Queen. It worked, nonetheless, but we did have a few memorable moments, such as when actually it was the Queen that arrived early, and it kind of made President Trump look like he was late, but he actually wasn't. The Queen was early, President Trump was on time. Then we saw that amazing moment where President Trump kind of wandered in front of the Queen, and it looked like the Queen was poking out in front of Trump. I just thought that was a fun moment. It was unconventional. The Queen does actually like it when things go wrong. Oh, can you see Rory? Rory's over there. He's on the floor. Look, he wants daddy cuddles. He's saying, hurry up, finish the video. I want daddy cuddles. You're going to have to wait because I've got quite a bit to get through. Okay, so yes, it was one of those moments where I thought it was fun. Some people were going on about him being rude, and I just thought it was funny. The Queen likes it when things go slightly wrong. It's something to talk about. It's something memorable. So I really don't think she mattered, but it was quite a memorable moment, and I suppose quite a moment in terms of communications between and relationships between the UK and America, because of course we have all that to look forward to in 2019 with what's going on in the UK. So an important visit, even if it wasn't an official state visit, tea with the Queen was still quite important and a big honour nonetheless. Jumping back to February, we saw London Fashion Week, and who can forget? I'm going to have to give this a fan flap, I really am. Who can forget the Queen seated next to Anna Wintour in her glasses? She didn't even take off her glasses for the Queen. How cool is that? How cool to be Anna Wintour sat next to the Queen. The Queen was listening to some kind of music. I have no idea what the song was, but it certainly wasn't what I imagine the Queen listens to normally. She was watching all the fashion. It was, of course, to launch the Queen Elizabeth Award for British Designer. That is why she was there, to launch her own award. That was a magical moment, seeing the Queen. I mean, two worlds coming together. However, not so weird as you may think, because the Queen and the royal family throughout history have always had a special relationship with fashion. They often can tell a story, can convey a message through fashion choices and what they wear, through accessories. So the royal world and the fashion world is not too disjointed from each other. They do actually go together and blend well. So it just looked a little bit odd seeing Anna Wintour and the Queen and a fashion show and the music going on. I think that was one of 2018's most memorable and one of my favourite moments, to be sure. In July, we saw the centenary of the Royal Air Force, and we had, of course, when all the royal family went out on the balcony and we saw the fly past. So we got to have a good look at Meghan out on the balcony. I know that was a big moment for a lot of people, and of course the rest of the royal family, and we got to see how they were kind of communicating and looking at each other. Again, going back to July, no feud going on. I mean, we certainly didn't see any example of any feud going on that balcony. Going back again to April, sorry this is so disjointed. I'm not going through it in order particularly. But in April, we saw what I'm going to probably say is one of the most important moments of 2018. It may not have been the most exciting, but it was one of the most important, and that was the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which was held in the UK, and it was when the Queen made that speech, and she rarely makes these sorts of speeches expressing her own wishes, her personal wishes, and she expressed her personal wish that Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, should become the next Commonwealth head, the head of the Commonwealth. And of course, all the different Commonwealth nations voted on it and accepted and wanted Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, to become the next head of the Commonwealth when he becomes king, when he ascends the throne, which I think was kind of like a triumph for the Queen. I'm going to give the Queen a fan flap, because that was, I think, one of the Queen's biggest triumphs in recent years, was that, you know, she got her wish. Her wishes came true in 2018, and I think Prince Charles will make a really, really good king and a really, really good head of the Commonwealth when that time does come. So yes, that was a really big triumphant moment, I think, for the Queen. November, we saw the Remembrance Sunday service, where Charles, for the second year, laid the wreath on behalf of the Queen. The Queen was in the balcony. That's the moment when we saw Meghan in the separate balcony, and everyone was going, why is Meghan not in the same balcony as the Queen and Catherine? And I was going, hang on a minute, wait! Meghan was being highly honoured because she was accompanying the wife of the German president, which was a really big honour that Meghan was doing it. But people only saw Meghan on a different balcony to the Queen and Camilla and Catherine and jumped to conclusions, including all these fake websites, naughty websites. So yes, I corrected everybody and said, no, it's because she was being honoured. She was looking after, she had the responsibility of looking after the German president's wife. Don't ask me her name, I can't remember. But it was a big, highly honoured thing to have been given. Role to have been given. Not thing, role. So yes, I thought that was quite a memorable moment too, and one of triumph for Meghan too. We also saw in connection the Abbey service where the President of Germany attended, and it was all about an act of reconciliation, which I think was probably long overdue. I think they probably left that moment way too long, and it was about time that we had that moment. I think it was key and very important. Also in November, Prince Charles turned 70. Hurrah! Prince Charles gets a fan flap too, just for being 70. Why not? Let's give Prince Charles a fan flap just for being 70. We also saw some new family portraits, some photographs that came out showing the family in the informal setting. I thought they were delightful, and I loved the kind of informal Meghan laughing. They're all laughing at something going on off screen. I loved the photographs for Charles's 70th birthday. We also saw earlier in the year, back in May, this is to do with Prince Charles's 70th birthday, he held a birthday party at Buckingham Palace. This was literally, was it the day after Harry and Meghan had got married, I think? Possibly, a day or two. And Harry gave that memorable speech where the bee interrupted him. And yes, he made everyone laugh. So I thought that was really, really, really lovely. And then Harry and Meghan, of course, went off on their honeymoon. So yes, bad bee. What a bad bee. Charles and Camilla had a memorable tour of West Africa where they took in the Gambia, Nigeria and Ghana. And that, of course, was to strengthen ties with the UK. It's when we saw Charles and Camilla dancing, and I think everyone, that was one of my favourite moments when Charles and Camilla were dancing. They're good dancers. And yes, they can cut some shapes on the floor, as they say. Very good dancers. I was impressed with the dancing, and I think a lot of other people were too. Prince Charles also gave a BBC interview in connection with his 70th birthday, where, again, this is a very big moment. He doesn't usually speak out about things like this, and he certainly hasn't addressed the subject so directly on about him becoming king when the time does arrive. And he basically said, what was the word? He said, I'm not that stupid. I'm not going to carry on campaigning in the same way that I am as Prince of Wales. I recognise that the role of king and Prince of Wales are two very different separate roles, and he basically just spelt it out for people that he is going to take the role of king incredibly seriously and pretty much, I think, carry it out as the Queen has. So yes, his more political leanings, I think, will be reined in, and he will be performing the role of king as we know it from the way his mother has played the role of queen. So he basically spelt it out. Sometimes people do need things spelling out. So I think that was a very key, pivotal moment in the royal year of 2018. Prince Philip, certainly enjoying his retirement. He's been seen on numerous occasions carriage driving. I have loved seeing photographs of him out carriage driving. But he also had a hip operation, a hip replacement, which he recovered from. He was able to attend Harry and Meghan's wedding in time. I think he's made a good recovery, but we have seen less and less and less and less and less of Prince Philip than what even I thought we would. I thought we would have seen him, for example, on Christmas morning, which we didn't. So I think he's just taking his retirement seriously. I don't think there's any problems. The palace at Christmas made sure that they put out there that there are no health issues. We've seen him out carriage driving. He seems to have recovered from the hip operation, but I just don't think he wants to be on public display, and I congratulate him for that decision. I think it's about time that he did have a lot of downtime, and he certainly seems to be enjoying his retirement. So well done, Prince Philip. You get a fan flap for taking it easy. There we go. A fan flap for taking it easy. I think I need one of those too. We also saw the wedding of Princess Eugenie to Jack Brooksbank in October. Another really lovely moment. Again, we saw St George's Chapel, Windsor. We saw a very different dress. We saw Eugenie bearing her scars from her scoliosis operation when she was a lot younger, which I think was very courageous of her to do, and I think it's something that she felt like she really needed to. I think it was important to her to show where she's come from, and that, you know, life isn't perfect and we bear the scars of what we go through from our past, but that can help to build a brighter future. I hope that's kind of what message she was going for. But we got to see a beautiful dress, very different to Meghan's, and we also saw a new tiara as well. Oh, I forgot to mention Meghan's wedding tiara, Queen Mary's diamond bandeau, one that we hadn't seen for a long time. We also saw I suppose we could say a similar type bandeau tiara, but it had emeralds in it for Princess Eugenie. A really lovely choice. We saw the very excitable Sarah, Duchess of York, who was very excitable. That was one of my favourite moments, I think, of Eugenie's wedding, was Sarah. I could have watched Sarah Cam all day. I would have loved a camera to have followed Sarah around all day. That would have been amazing. So yes, we saw another beautiful royal wedding with a smaller carriage procession. Of course, there was talk in the press about how much it was costing and all the rest of it. But the end result was that we got to see another really beautiful... Is that Rory? I can see a tail behind me. Oh, hello. Have you come to say hello? We're talking about the royal family. Do you want to join in? No. Cats are so indifferent, aren't they? Okay, so we got to see another really, really beautiful royal wedding. That's basically where I'm getting at. And the flowers, I thought, were really different. A different time of the year to Meghan, so we saw more kind of spring time, summery type flowers for Meghan's, and then we saw the more autumnal colours and shades for Eugenie's, which I loved. I loved the different variety. Another key pivotal moment was Prince William's visit to Israel and the Palestinian territories. Now, I've included this because it was a diplomatically delicate and sensitive visit, I suppose. Again, it was a message of hope and reconciliation, which I think was long overdue. And as far as I'm aware, no other royal has been there and made that journey and made that mark of hope and reconciliation. So a big important step, I think, for Prince William, that he was trusted, obviously, enough to do that. He is going to be the future king. So in terms of hope and reconciliation, that is where the future lies between the UK and Israel and the Palestinian territories. So diplomatically sensitive and important, I think. Jumping back to April, we saw the birth of Prince Louis of Cambridge, born at the Lindo Wing, as were George and Charlotte. We got to see Prince Louis, and I don't think anybody really guessed the name Louis, did they? Did you guess the name correct? I don't know. But we certainly saw the birth of a new baby boy, and how adorable he is in the later photographs. He was pulling some really stunning faces, I think. So yes, another key pivotal moment in the royal family. We also saw Harry and Meghan announcing their own pregnancy. We think that she announced at roughly the first trimester, so we think baby is going to be born sometime April, May time. Or no, end of March to April time, because of course do we have a super chat donation? $3.99 from Cynthia. Thank you so much to Cynthia for using the super chat feature. Thank you. So yes, we think the birth is going to be kind of end of March, April. I'm thinking April because Meghan wore the birthstone ring on the Australian tour, where we had Meghan's birthstone, we had Harry's birthstone, and then we had the diamond in the middle, which of course is representative of April. So we're thinking, well, I'm thinking April. That announcement was made just before the start of the tour and just after Eugenie and Jack's wedding, which I think was the most opportune time to have made it. Again, it caused a bit of controversy. What doesn't in the fake news media? But I don't think that was the only chance really Harry and Meghan had before that tour started. So yes, they were kind of cornered into doing it at that time. They had no choice, basically. We also had the news later in the year that Harry and Meghan were moving to Frogmore Cottage, not the house, Frogmore Cottage, which needs to be completely renovated. We hope in time for the birth, although I'm kind of a bit doubtful about that. It is a listed building. We don't know when they started work. We don't know how far along they are. We don't know, it's an old property. We do not know if they've encountered any sorts of problems or issues. We're hoping, well, I'm hoping it's going to be a nice retreat for Harry and Meghan and baby Sussex when baby Sussex is born, but I'm a little bit sceptical at the moment, but we'll see how that goes. Do excuse me, I am talking loads. Yes, what was I going to say next? The Royal Foundation, especially with Prince William, has what's the right words? Has furthered, has progressed, has continued its role with mental health and cyberbullying. So we saw Prince William stepping up. I think that's going to be his main focus. Back in the Prince of Wales' 70th birthday interview, Prince William spoke about wanting to make the Prince of Wales role his own role and not doing it the way that Charles has. So I think the kind of mental health, cyberbullying, that kind of thing is going to be one of the directions in which he will be going once he is Prince of Wales. That's kind of what he was indicating. Another key moment of success was Meghan's first project, which was the Together Cookbook, which was all the proceeds went in aid of Grenfell Tower. It was to help a food kitchen, and of course Meghan was instrumental in the creation of the book, the cookbook, which sold out across the world and made those ladies the money that they needed to keep that kitchen open for 7 days a week. I think it was open 2 days a week or 3 days a week, but now it is open all the time. So Meghan certainly triumphed. That is also when she launched the cookbook. She invited Doria over to Kensington Palace and she gave that speech with no notes, that really lovely speech that we saw. So yes, a triumphant victory, I think, for Meghan, and another indicator, I think, in the direction in which she'll want to go in 2019. I've already touched on this, but in the autumn, Harry and Meghan had their tour of Australia, New Zealand, Fiji and Tonga. It was a huge success. Meghan had to scale back slightly because I think the schedule was rather ambitious, I think, to begin with. So Meghan's engagements were slightly scaled back, but she still did phenomenally well. And it was a very successful tour. Of course, it coincided with the Invictus Games, which Harry was instrumental in its creation. So that was another, I think, really big success for Harry. Meghan made a speech at the university when in Fiji on the empowerment of women and education. And I think that again is very instrumental and key in which direction she'll want to go in with her future projects in 2019, which I'm hoping we will find out a lot more about. Another key moment just recently was, of course, the Queen's speech, which I think was a really lovely and powerful message, and we saw a lot of imagery on the table with the different photographs that she'd chosen. She spoke about her family personally and also about the need, I think, for kindness, and that kind of coincided with my message for my own Christmas speech, which I put out. I've also got down, I really enjoyed anything horse related this year. The royal family loved their horses, and Ascot was a particular highlight because, of course, we saw a new carriage procession every day, who was with the Queen, what colour she was wearing. I loved the Ascot coverage this year. And I think that's it. That's all of my personal highlights. How are we doing for time? Nearly 30 minutes. Yes, that was my personal highlights, I think, of the year. I'm not sure if I've missed any out, any important ones. I think I've covered I think, all the bases. I do want to look at just briefly what we've got to look forward to, I think, in 2019. Just a few key points, not everything. But of course, we've got baby Sussex to welcome. Boy, girl, single baby, twins. We don't know. And we also even don't know which hospital. I've said previously I still thought it might be the Lindo wing, but there's also now talk that it could be the same hospital in Windsor, or close to Windsor, which Sophie Wessex gave birth to Lady Louise and James Viscount Seven in. So that's another possibility. And I think that hinges really upon whether Frogmore House, Cottage is ready in time for the birth or not. I think if they can get into the cottage before the baby is born, I think we may see Windsor as the place of birth, the hospital in Windsor, the same as Sophie Wessex. If not, then I'm still thinking and sticking by the Lindo wing, but we will have to wait and see. Of course, we have the Frogmore move to look forward to. I doubt we will see any photographs, but nevertheless, when it happens, I'm sure it will be big news. We have Meghan's engagements to look forward to, and I've put that down in particular because, of course, all the royal family have their engagements to look forward to, and but I think with Meghan being the newest member of the family, I think people really want to know what direction she's going in. So that will be really insightful once we start seeing more about what Meghan is going to be doing. And I've also put down, I think we are going to see, it's more of a prediction than necessarily knowing, but I think we're going to see more patronages handed over from the Queen to other members of the royal family, the Queen's children, and Harry, Meghan, Catherine and William. So I think we're going to see a little bit more of a reduced workload for the Queen, which I think is a good move. I think she does need to look after herself. Of course, the Queen is enjoying her Christmas break, which she will stay at Sandringham until February. So lots to look forward to. Tons of engagements, which of course I will continue to bring you. To be honest, there are so many comments in this live chat, I am not going to get a chance to read all of them. I think I'm going to have to go back after this chat has gone live and read through and maybe answer some of your comments there. Just having a little quick look. Joan says, how long will Meghan have once she has the baby from royal duties? Well, going by, if she has the baby in April or even the end of March, I don't think we will see a return to official engagements until September. I'm thinking September. Although I'm sure Meghan is not one to sit or rest on her laurels, I am sure she will be working tirelessly behind the scenes, getting projects ready, making private visits. So although necessarily no engagements during the maternity, I think she will still be a busy bee, cooking up some things for us in September to enjoy. I'm sure she will. And I agree, Annette, I think Meghan is glowing. I'm going to leave it here. This is kind of my 2018 Royal Year in Review. I do hope you have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media. Subscribe to the channel. Please do. It really, really helps. And also hit that notification bell so that you know whenever I do one of these live pop-up chats or whenever I post a video. So I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been an amazing, fabulous 2018 for the Royals and for me personally. So I hope you've enjoyed my own channel review, which was 2 videos ago, I think. If you haven't seen it, do go and check it out. But from me in Shropshire, goodbye.